Welcome to the Fit Diet Podcast, where we'll learn the processes and habits of healthy eating, exercise, and lifestyle. Food for fitness, if you will, with the founders of MindMuscleMemory.com, Miles Betcha and Greg Rando. Miles' expertise with programs and coaching have led him to training thousands of clients all over for the last 2 decades with enormous success, and he's dedicated himself to transforming the course of fitness and health for many. And his partner Greg has his own unique skill set as a professional in the world of bodybuilding, with the ability to teach and inspire all he comes in contact with. Join me now as we discover the secrets of sticky fibers and proper habits and how to implement the mind-muscle memory lifestyle. Welcome in and thanks for listening. And welcome to the Fit Diet Podcast, once again brought to you by Mind Muscle Memory, the fellas at M3, your host Bobby Stein, along with the co-founders of the MindMuscleMemory.com group, Greg Rando and Miles Betcha. Gentlemen, how you doing after the 4th of July? Did you get enough of the fireworks and figgy pudding? Well, that's Christmas. Did you get enough hot dogs and brats and burgers?
Absolutely. I got my fill of a great plant-based barbecue.
No, you sticky fiber. How about you, Miles?
Right. Oh, yeah. Well-positioned picnic table with all the wonderful fruits and vegetables all over it, as well as a couple of additional items for from the grill too. So it's all good.
And any adult beverages, or just stay with the seltzer water and Coca-Cola?
Lemonade.
That guy, look at you practicing what you preach. I can't brag the same. I had an adult beverage or two. Yes, I did. But I'm none the worse for wear, and I'm getting back after it. So. That's all good. But hey, guys, so today we pulled an article, Miles, from the webpage, mindmusclememory.com, 6 steps to becoming a muscle equalizer. And this is a little niche that you've carved out for yourself, and I'd like everybody to know what exactly a muscle equalizer is. So if you could expound on that a little bit and get the ball rolling, that would be terrific. What do you think?
Sure. Well, Bobby, the muscle equalizer came out of almost, you'd almost say out of necessity here because of injury. And, as we go along and as I was going along and rebuilding some different strengths in different areas, I ended up, due to a shoulder injury and of course, working through the lower body, strengthening and all those things, came to find that some muscles weren't symmetrical and didn't function properly to hold the best movement patterns and to get the muscles to produce the look, the feel, the function of them. So I started to have to do a lot more, one arm at a time or one movement, one leg at a time, different movements, and realizing that, geez, you can really cause some dysfunction or have muscle imbalances without even thinking about it. And it's really something to pay attention to and to look at why is one muscle weak and how can you get that pattern going and get it equalized or symmetrical, and then test it all around the body. So that's a lot of what we've done throughout the years is just hey, you got to admit you're working out hard, you're doing some sports, whatever, you have some injuries, so you got to go back to that and then sort of recondition and reset some of those muscles and make sure they have that function and that balance back to them.
That makes sense. So would you suggest, because I always thought, Miles, in terms of symmetry and being symmetrical, that certain body parts, like a pec, for instance, I have a good size, a good fullness on one size and not so much on the other. Do you find that across the board with your clients, or is that an anomaly, or is it just a one-off situation?
Oh, no, we work with the clients, Greg, and I will tell you along the way here that one of the biggest parts is that so many people have an inactive or poor functioning of certain muscles. And a lot of it stems from, like we've talked about other episodes too, is that postural position, holding that posture. And so in other words, the equalizer position starts across that posture and that rib cage and the hips. And from there, most people aren't holding that right a lot of times. And then we try, once they're holding that, and we get them to try to use the back of their legs evenly or the front of their legs, because you can be strong on just the back side of your body versus the front side, never mind right to left. Wouldn't you say, Greg?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We see that a lot, that people are, predominantly strong on one side of their body usually. I was with my friend today working out, and we were doing chest, and he's got these enormous front delts and some decent size to the pec major, but the front delts are so overbearing, and at the same time, he's got a lot of upper back and neck pain. And I tried to get him to stand up, and I wanted him to tighten his lats to see his control and the strength he might have in those lats. And it was really difficult for him to control and tighten his lats, which, kind of confirmed what I thought, that without shoulder scapula, without stabilizing the scapula, he was really working to his strengths and just not allowing his lats to support the arm movement. So most of it was being taken up by his front delts and upper arms. And that's why, he's getting a lot of upper back pain and lacking strength and development under his shoulder blades. It shows across the middle of his chest too, but his front delts and upper arms are really, really predominantly getting most of the work and overdeveloped. So, we see it in our clients, and we see it in other, a lot of competitors that put a lot of intensity and work into muscle groups maybe, and things kind of get away from it at some point.
So that's perfect analysis, Greg. The first point about becoming a muscle equalizer on the article says, assess for dysfunction, imbalance, and pain. And, you just laid out right there that number one thing. The first thing you're doing is really just, looking at what's the pain, right? As we back it up, it's the pain and the imbalance of the control of those muscles, and the dysfunction and overpowering of the of that one area was causing the stress on the body. Does that make sense, Bobby?
Oh, completely.
It's very common. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think once you establish, you make an assessment, then you can establish a jumping off point, and then balancing from the core, like you guys say, from your hips, your back, your posture, and things of that nature. But then it's got to be a function of mind-muscle memory, where it's a conditioning. You bring in your mind into it to make yourself alert. Because I think, Greg, a guy like with that, with the pronounced front delts overpowering his chest and giving him the upper back pain, he's not. He's playing to that strength, although he's contributing to that pain and that injury. So he's got to become conditioned. He's got to become mindful. He's got to become in the present moment, so that it becomes, second nature and that
Definitely.
balance. Am I right?
Well,
I would think.
Well, there's one part to that we always like to add, and that's so that there are, in terms of that mental toughness, that's mind strength part of it. It's that first you have to neurologically get the right pattern to work. Right, you have to make sure the muscle neurologically you're telling it to stretch and flex, and it's doing it properly. And once you build that more nervous system function,
right,
then it's a matter of conditioning it and getting the pattern so good, right? Getting it, like you said, mind muscle memory, that developing that extended pattern. Now, the third part about mental toughness is that when you get good at that muscle, Bobby, what we find out is that you get good at a muscle, but what happens is you as soon as it starts to get a little uncomfortable, what does your mind do? Oh, lay off of that. Do something else. So it's mental toughness that you have to stick to that area and actually and adapt it and develop it. Because when it starts to burn, that's the mental toughness. It starts to burn. People are like, oh no, I'm going to use another area because that one burns too much, or that's putting too much stress on that muscle in the shoulder. So I need to, I'm going to tighten up my neck, or you can accentuate that dysfunction at times, because you're not focused on it long enough in developing mental toughness.
And then you
stick with it.
kind of default to what you were doing to begin with. But yeah, I think it's a function of being mindful, having mental toughness, exercising that muscle, right? Your what's between your temples.
Yeah.
So you get those synapses firing, and it becomes second nature. But it's not without effort. You're right, and I think you have to forge through that obstacle or that barrier to actually make it happen. So very cool. So I like how you coined it too, the muscle equalizer. And simply put, it's becoming, you're someone who has found symmetry within your muscle from left to right, top to bottom. And I like that three-dimensional aspect you put in there, Miles, too, and Greg, front to back, right? So then you're able to move efficiently with proper posture and mechanics to allow for movements to be pain-free and strong. And how pleasurable is it to be pain-free, number one, but then to have the added bonus of strength and being strong?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Greg and I talk about it a lot. It's a common theme that, we have somebody that we're working with, and when they get to move that muscle function better and they get the proper muscle strength to it, right, and then they can build it and adapt it even better to make it match up and have that symmetry. And sometimes it doesn't take too long, depending on where you are, but sometimes it takes a while because you have to stay focused on long enough. But when somebody comes away and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel like, my knee pain is gone. It's like that, I used to always struggle with this one knee or both knees. And then right, Greg, we talk about it all the time. It's like, that's what we like to talk. We actually like to talk about that because it's part of that, joy of having our passion of teaching this stuff to people and having them walk away, like feeling more free movement, less pain. I mean, we ourselves, I'll just be honest with myself, I have, and Greg and I have been working on a little bit the same thing, is that, we had some areas that were tight. So we're really working to make the area function a little bit more, adapt to the area a little bit, get a little bit stronger in it and build that muscle shape and conditioning more. But because of a restricted tightness and a flexibility issue, that's an imbalance too. So it was and that causes some discomfort at times, like a lower back being tight. That was mine. My lower calf muscle was weak on the inside of my lower calf, and it was making me stand awkwardly when I would do something with like lunges or even just like a long walk. So my lower back pain would be tightening up. And that's it's been eliminated for, since I conditioned that lower calf muscle. So now my knee is straighter, my hip is straighter because I'm not, weak on that one side of the calf.
You went in for an alignment.
Yeah. Well, that's the part. Yeah, I know, right? What would you say about that, Greg? Are there other areas of that alignment stuff that?
Oh yeah, that really hits home with me because I went through the first 15-ish years of strength training, just kind of pushing and pulling and trying to be cognizant of what I'm doing and control my muscles and keep the muscles targeted. But I was really working to my strengths, and we would incorporate a exercise routine that would allow us to use the muscles, all the muscle groups equally, but it didn't mean I was using them efficiently. And part of my problem was really my hip and my shoulder. For years working to my strengths, I didn't really realize that I was overcompensating. So as time went on, I could see in my posture and in my mechanics, really in my mobility, these problems stem from my hip position or my shoulder position or whatever came first, my shoulder or my hip. And for me to make sure that I'm implementing the muscle equalizer and I'm using proper muscle balance and control through the movements. For me, it starts with posture. So I really have to make sure I'm sitting up properly. I have my sit bones underneath me. I have my hips correct, and then use that core to kind of support that through the movement. And if I can do that, practice repeating that over time, I've learned, along with a lot of flexibility, that I'm able to I'm able to overcome those weaknesses and the postural weaknesses that I've had in my inner and outer thighs and my scapular region to support those positions. Then I'm able to, and that's where my focus has to be. Like we're talking mind, muscle, memory. That I have to really keep my focus on those positions while I execute the repetitions. And by doing that over and over and making that my priority, I've been able to bring up improve the balance and symmetry in the muscles, and along with the flexibility, take the pain and discomfort out of those areas. So that really hits home for me. And honestly, too, I was stretching. I didn't get much relief going to a chiropractor, an alternative practitioner at all. I knew for me to benefit from that, my muscles need to be more flexible, more pliable. So I dedicated myself to stretching. And as I got into stretching, I learned that stretching, you can stretch and then you can stretch real efficiently, just like strength training. As I've gotten better at stretching, I've been able to increase range of motion and flexibility in those areas, which help positionally, which make it a lot easier for me to maintain while I execute the exercises in the gym.
Beautiful.
So it all kind of goes together for me.
Yeah, That's awesome. It's funny. My brother has a bout with scoliosis, so his spine's got a curvature to it, and it's funny because if you look at him straight on, you can see where one trap is pretty much non-existent, yet the other one's, up there. Now, he's an artist, so he understands balance and symmetry from a visual perspective, and when he looked in the mirror as a young teenager, he said, yeah, something's got to give, and he kind of took it upon himself to kind of compensate and train those other areas. But the one thing that I am often enamored, and to success, he did a nice job. He's much more, less pain, and his aesthetics look that much better. But one thing that intrigues me, guys, is the fact that we are in possession of the greatest instrument, one of the greatest instruments in nature. And, it's mortgage free. We own it outright. And it's up to us to really, maximize the gift that we've been given. I mean, it's so pliable. It's going to take some effort if we want to see some improvement in areas, but I'm all about, getting the most out of the gift that I have. And that is the fact that I'm grateful and I'm thankful and, first and foremost, but how can I maximize it? And the equalizer program, it really definitely, harkens back to get down to the basics, stop working to your strengths. We got to be well-rounded, right, Miles? I mean, the whole thing is to be balanced. We don't want to be, lopsided. It's like if you ever watched Rafael Nadal or any tennis player's forearm, he looks like Popeye with his racket hand, but the other one, he looks anemic, it's I'm like, buddy, do some wrist curls on the other side. You got to get balanced.
It's true.
It's crazy.
It's true.
It's crazy, I tell you.
And we see that with...
Go ahead, Greg. Yeah.
No, I was just saying, Bobby brought up forearms. I mean, again, if I had a nickel for everyone who said, why do my elbows hurt when I do bicep, and, and it's often because their weaknesses, usually, everybody's got one elbow that really gives them difficulty, and it can be addressed from a few different points, postural position, but, different weaknesses. If there's, a weakness in one area, that's going to create tension on the surrounding tissue, the tendons and things that connect the muscles to the bones, and when that takes place, tendonitis occurs and inflammation occurs, and that's what we try to avoid by maintaining good posture, good position and coordination while we execute the movements, the resistance move patterns.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And then, of course, one of the underlying factors here that is that we always want to address is that if you have that, one, say the lat muscles that were not activated, not very good function to them, and they don't hold the posture in the right spot while you're doing the extra workouts and things, But even when you do exercises for those lat muscles, the back muscles, that if they're not functioning and you can't stick to them and keep them with a good muscle pattern to burn some calories, then they're basically inactive for your metabolism. So what kind of calories can you possibly burn with the DNA you have of your back muscles? Or like even a forearm muscle. That forearm muscle can burn a lot of calories if you're actually active with it and using it. And if you don't, then it's not burning any calories. It has no metabolic function capabilities to it because it's not, flexing and using any energy. The only way you use the energy is if you flex the muscle. If you lay dormant with your, as what we say, a couch potato, just sitting on a couch, just not doing anything, you can lay dormant and you can just lower that metabolism, and the less muscle you have, you lower it down again, and the less muscle you use, and you lowered it down again. So now your metabolism, nothing. So,
yeah,
that's the important part about symmetry too, is to be able to activate all your muscles to use all the energy possible that you want for, because maybe you had an extra couple things during Thanksgiving. Thank you, 4th of July picnic, right?
Absolutely.
Or Thanksgiving too.
Yeah, indeed.
So all you people out there that don't know their machines and exercises for your lower body, make sure you get in that leg room.
What are you trying to say?
That's right. The leg, the leg muscles, the back muscles.
Listen,
yeah,
I just want to say one. I just want to say one thing. I have a hypoallergic. I'm allergic to legs. Okay, that's why I wear board shorts and sweatpants on the beach. Okay.
Bubba, you're not
nothing...
in that. You're not in that group.
Oh, that must have been my
Bubba.
paranoid insecurities.
Yeah.
You touched on a nerve there because I've been told I'm a little light on the chicken wing legs.
The first 10 years I started working out, everyone thought I had strings hanging from my shorts. So I learned the hard way.
Yeah, well, it's been 40 years since I still have strings coming out of my shorts. But that's why I listen.
Miles said,
that's why I listen to you guys, because it keeps me honest, and that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, that's funny.
We all do. We keep
accountable.
But yeah, that's right. These are big muscle groups: the back muscles, the leg muscles, and if they're activated and they're active regularly and they're worked out and conditioned, they're going to be able to burn a lot of calories. And when you have a full well balanced exercise program, including the flexibility and cardiovascular, along with the strength training, your ability to burn calories around the clock is really
enhanced.
Really a real benefit. Yeah. Real bonus.
Well, you're listening, folks out there. You're listening to M3, the mindmusclememory.com fellas, with Greg Rando and co-founder Miles Betcha today, and we are talking about the equalizer, how to become a muscle equalizer, the importance and the value of balance, symmetry, and pain-free symmetry in your aesthetics. You want to get around, you want to function, you want to be flexible, you want to live a fully functioning physical life, because this is the only vehicle in which that we get to navigate this realm that we're in. So we might as well make the most of it. Anything to close with regarding the muscle equalizer system from M3, Miles? We'll start with you.
Sure. Just one part of it would be that I would want everyone to realize that it's difficult at times to look at what is not functioning as well as it should. It's difficult. We don't sort of that's why we work as the guide to help analyze people and to sort of analyze your functioning, analyze your muscles' strengths and weaknesses, and it's okay that you have these things, because once you know that and assess it, acknowledge it, then you can work on the plan to move it forward. And that is to implement proven methods like the muscle finder method, or your cardiovascular training, making sure you're breathing properly and using your core properly while you do your cardio. I mean, there's methods that we have, and it's sometimes, like I said, it's just want to acknowledge that it's difficult at times to pick up what's not working right and just stick with what you feel is stronger. But once you do, that's when you get sort of you reset everything. You reset that DNA. You get all your body to really have that full functionality. So,
I think too, guys, that so many of us think it's like a combination lock, right? Where we got six digits or 4 digits or 8 digits in a combination lock, and we need all 8 digits. But I think for many of us, myself included, we're in possession of, five digits. We only need the 1 digit to complete the combination to have the door open for us. So I think, through the mindmusclememory.com, the customization, folks can say, okay, you can pinpoint by analyzing and assessing an individual's scenario, and then give them that 1 or 2 tools that may put them in possession of the fully functioning body, and that's huge. It's not that it's many of us think that we're so far out of whack, and we're really not that far off. But once we come in line and contact and become aware, and we can address the situation, then we're on the fast track to success.
Wow. All right, that's right. And just using pain is they say is information. Pain is information. When you're mobile and performing exercises, if you're feeling pain and discomfort, try to get back to the basics of posture and position. And if you can't figure it out, find somebody to help you. Find somebody to help you identify these weaknesses, identify them, and work on them. And that's what we do as mind muscle memory coaches. We can do it virtual, or we can do it in person, and help you to define your issues and get past them, so you can start regaining your health.
Perfect. That's a great point. That's a great point with the virtual, Zoom and Skype and all these virtual go-to-meetings right now that are available to us. You can be anywhere in the country, and like you said, I think this is your specialty, guys. So I would encourage everybody to get on over, as always, to mindmusclememory.com. Seek out the articles, seek out the blogs, the information. It's chock full of free stuff in terms of resources. But take the next step. Reach out to Miles. Reach out to Greg, and set yourself up an appointment. They'll do it virtually, and it's an investment in yourself. It'll be well worth it. And that's my word for you all out there in listener land today.
Listener land.
Cool.
Listener land.
That's well said. Well said.
Well, guys, until the next episode of the M3MindMuscleMemory.com Fit Diet Podcast, this is your host, Bobby Stein, for Greg, for Miles, telling you to please take good care, and thanks for listening. We appreciate it.